Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia, the good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co host, Joe. Today's movie is Happy Gilmore.
I never realized until now the similarities of seeing a movie in the theaters and watching a golf match. No talking above a whisper, silence on your cell phones, a modest clap at the end, and also the expensive food and merch. This week we talk about a golf movie that, much like this analogy, is rough around the edges. Speaking of rough, let's chip our way out of the sand and into our favorite spot on the sofa while we enjoy one of our favorite golf films.
I don't think I've ever actually watched golf in my life.
Oh, like competitive on TV, like the pros or whatever?
Right.
I have, but not intentionally or purposefully. Like it
I
has
always
been on in a room and I've watched it like passively with like a grandpa of some sort. Some of my friends now are starting to watch more golf or golf. I don't know if it's a turning of an age. I never really been too big into golf. I do like a putt though.
My son watched some of this with me, and toward the end, he was asking me if we could go play putt-putt sometime. Because I
Nice.
think he's probably played putt-putt once. We were out of town for a wedding, and it was a really small town. There wasn't a lot to do. So one morning, everyone who had little kids, we all went to do putt-putt, and he was very frustrated by it, but
Hmm.
he informed me that he is older now and it'll be better. Which
Those
could be
are,
true.
yeah, at least one of those things is true. And, it could lead to another truth, I suppose.
I think he was too young to have like the hand-eye coordination that he
Right.
needed for it before.
Yeah, maybe we'll be less frustrated this time around too.
Sure.
In his older age.
In his older age. But yeah, I do also have a lot of friends, surprisingly, who are into golf. For them, I don't think it's a new thing. I think they were always into golf.
Hmm.
I personally always thought that would be such a boring sport to watch compared to a team sport, but I enjoyed watching Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, he makes it exciting.
Well, why don't we officially introduce our movie then?
All right, so today's movie, as Rachel said, is Happy Gilmore. It's directed by Dennis Dugan. Release date February 16th, 1996, rated PG-13. So a nice Valentine's Day date.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that February release date. That's usually where they kind of dump stuff.
Hmm. I
Unless,
mean,
like
I
you said, it's a rom-com they're hoping to cash in on for Valentine's.
right. So if you've not seen Happy Gilmore before, Happy Gilmore is a would-be hockey player, and he discovers his unique ability at driving a golf ball a great distance. When his grandmother's house gets foreclosed, Happy eventually decides to take his talents on tour on the pro golf circuit in order to win enough money to save his grandma's house. However, things aren't that simple. Happy, under the tutelage of Chubbs, needs to work on his short game and his short temper. Happy also needs to stay out of the way of Shooter McGavin, the arrogant presumed favorite to win, whose jealousy of Happy's famous success is causing him to get desperate.
I think I might have actually seen this in theaters the first time I saw it.
Oh,
I was
nice.
trying to do the math in terms of my age and when it came out. But I remember going to see Adam Sandler movies in the theater, just like how when I was younger, we'd all go see every new Jim Carrey movie. Adam Sandler was the big comedy star, like Jim Carrey was a little bit before him. I know I saw Big Daddy, The Water Boy, The Wedding Singer in theaters.
Yeah, those check out. I don't think I've seen this one in theaters. I think he was still like very brand new. Like this is right off the heels of Billy Madison, and I remember that was a for sure rental. I think at a sleepover type deal,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this one for me was also a rental, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
now like got the parents to get it for me at Blockbuster or whatever because oh yeah, it's the SNL guy, and we already saw his other movie and it was funny, and you know 96 and what 10, 11, so still maybe not old enough to go to a PG-13 theater without a permission slip.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember seeing like his later stuff when he was still kind of prime Sandler in theaters.
Yeah, I have memories of seeing like I said, the some of the later ones in theaters and everyone talking about it at school, like after they came out. I specifically remember people quoting The Water Boy at school.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you knew him as a guy that was on SNL. I
Yeah.
didn't know, I don't think I was watching SNL yet when he got big, like when his movies got big. I remember like finding out later that he was on SNL and going back and like rewatching all his stuff from that, like the opera guy
Yeah. That's
and
exactly what I'm
the
thinking of right now.
yeah. I remember for a time that his Thanksgiving song and his Hanukkah song were really big and they would
Oh,
play them
yeah.
on the radio.
Yep. Yeah, I was watching SNL by that point. My parents watched it, and
Hmm.
I got to like stay up late, even though I don't think I've ever made it all the way through without falling asleep on the floor in the living
Yeah.
room. But I have memories of watching, that era, him and Farley, Chris Rock, Myers. So some of those have more of a nostalgia feel than going back and having to rewatch them like I would with, I guess, what we consider classic SNL from before I was able to watch it late at night.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so funny because to me, in my perception, classic SNL is like the Adam Sandler cast.
Hmm.
Because when I think about the SNL cast I grew up with, it was more like Sherry O'Terry, Will Ferrell, Molly Shannon.
Yes, which I also enjoyed. But yeah, I think for us, or at least for me, when I was watching it at the time, like that's my classic cast to like literally take your words from you.
Hmm.
But I haven't really watched it in a while. I see clips here and there, but haven't sat down and watched an SNL live in a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not up late enough to watch it live. I will sometimes, catch up with it on Peacock. I guess it's not something I watch regularly anymore, but sometimes when I don't know what I want to watch and I don't want to have to pay really close attention to something, I'll put it
Hmm.
on. And there's always at least a couple skits that I think are pretty funny, so it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Um, oh yeah, so speaking of SNL, it's fortuitous we are able to now lead into how Happy Gilmore got made. Adam Sandler wrote the script for Happy Gilmore with his friend Tim Herlihy after they successfully wrote Billy Madison together. I actually dug into Tim's background a little bit and I found this so interesting. They were roommates at NYU, him and Adam Sandler. But Tim went on to law school. He eventually became a lawyer and he worked at Ernst and Young and there was another big name in his resume, but he still collaborated with Adam Sandler writing skits with him when Adam Sandler got onto SNL.
Hmm.
I believe they specifically singled out the Canteen Boy character as one they created together. Do you remember that?
I'm thinking of the wrong thing. I believe I'm thinking of Mad TV, which is not Adam Sandler, so I can't
Yeah, no.
remember him.
It's when he's like the little Boy Scout. And I remember there being an
Ah,
Alec Baldwin
okay.
skit with
Okay,
the
yes.
Canteen Boy. Okay.
Okay.
But all this collaboration, Tim apparently writing skits and the Billy Madison script like after hours after his regular day job led him to being hired as a writer on SNL in 1994, which is like I talk about a career pivot. Like I don't know.
Right.
I just like this story. Also, you might not be familiar with Please Don't Destroy, which is like the newer trio on SNL that does the digital shorts.
No.
Okay, so it's three guys. The one example I can think of right now is when I don't remember who the host was, but when Taylor Swift was on a few years ago, they did a song with Pete Davidson, the three guys and Pete Davidson, and their whole thing is that they're kind of like nerds, like no one
Okay.
really wants to hook up with them or whatever. They wrote this song with Pete Davidson in the sketch, but it ended up being Pete calling them three sad virgins. And there's a whole song that they sing called Three Sad Virgins. And Taylor Swift was a musical guest and she comes in and sings some of it too. And she talks about how like one of them has a big bowling ball head and they're scrawny and stuff. I think it's genuinely funny. But I bring this up because one of the guys in that trio is the son of Tim Herlihy.
Oh, nice.
So he is keeping this SNL legacy going.
Yeah.
Um
You're talking
I
about this digital trio, and just I can't help but think of like a up to date version of Lonely Island.
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what it's like. I think they're all writers on the show, but then if they're ever on it, it's in a digital thing like this, and usually there's a song or something.
Okay.
So basically, Tim and Adam Sandler got this idea for a script about a guy who can hit a golf ball really far. Like that was their whole pitch, their whole concept. Like I said, they had already had success with Billy Madison, so it's not like they had trouble shopping this around or like convincing people to make it. It's not
Right.
going to be one of those stories. They cited Caddyshack as an inspiration for the script, which not surprised.
Right.
But also Adam Sandler had a childhood friend who could hit a golf ball further than him when they were kids, and he always figured that this friend had an advantage because he was also a hockey player. And just that little crumb of a memory, I guess. It's funny because this friend apparently went on to be a hockey coach.
Huh.
So very
Nice.
good for him. Judd Apatow did an uncredited rewrite of the script. They also brought on a pro golfer named Mark Lai as a script consultant. He had a strong reaction to this script. He felt like it was way too unrealistic and that, no one would be able to hit a golf ball that far ever. Like there were stories about him taking them out to golf courses to like show them how ridiculous this would be. But I also feel like, yes, sir, that is the premise that it's ridiculous. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
you're missing
Um,
some of the point there, Mark.
mhm. But the original script had Happy Gilmore winning the Masters, and they had all the real life touchstones of professional golf, like winning the Masters. They were at Augusta, and Mark basically told them that they couldn't desecrate like these actual sites, is the way he put it.
Jesus.
Um, so to quote him, he said to them, "You got to be crazy. You cannot do a movie like that." So he suggested creating the fake tournament, which is what we end up seeing in the movie. Probably the most like visual change, if you're familiar with golf, is that they changed the winning jacket color from green to gold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I to be fair, I do not know what was in the original script that maybe they had cut, but he really felt like they were, like I said, desecrating these sacred sites of golf.
Jesus.
But
Not that
they
serious, Mark.
did, yeah, unless it was a much more vulgar script than what we ended up with. I don't know. But even just for licensing purposes, I could see it being a smarter move to make a fake tournament because,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so other than this man's like personal like concerns, I think he said it was the fifth script, the fifth draft that he finally gave his approval to. Not sure
That's
why we needed
crazy.
Mark's approval so bad, but I don't know.
I was just gonna say that too. Like it would be makes sense to have, a golf pro or a pro golfer or someone who's
Hmm.
played a lifetime to look it over to see if like certain things make sense, if we're not being very blatantly stupid or incorrect. Writers do that all the time just to
Yeah.
make sure like they know what they're talking about. But to have him like give his stamp of approval, otherwise you're not gonna do the film, it seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I thought that was strange too. When I first started reading about this guy being a consultant, I took it the way you had said. Just, it's not like these guys knew anything about golf. It's probably good to have someone who actually plays golf explaining how a tournament is set up or,
Hmm.
making sure you get that kind of stuff correct. But yeah, I don't know why this guy was like the end all be all for this movie.
Yeah, and to be fair and honest, I didn't know that they had a whole fake tournament in the movie until, I don't know, researching for this film, because there's so many
Mm,
tours and tournaments and programs for golf. I thought it was a real one, but it's one of the minor ones. Like, it's believable to me because I don't watch professional golf on the regular. So what do I know?
Yeah, I think that would have been my guess too. Obviously, I've heard of the Masters. It's not like any of these other smaller tournaments they were doing in the movie struck a chord with me or anything. So I could have easily believed this was a real tour, like you said. And anyway, I just want to point out too, having spoken about our pro golfer friend here, there's also a former pro golfer who appears a little bit in the movie. And okay, do you know what I'm talking
Yep.
about? Okay.
I read this
He
too.
had a Okay, yeah, he had a quote that if he had known how much swearing was going to be in the movie, he would have never appeared in it.
Right.
And I can appreciate, not wanting to be in a movie that I don't know, goes too far for whatever your sensibilities are. I
Right.
just feel like the swearing is your problem. It just feels so prudish to me. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain what I'm thinking here.
No, I get what you're saying, especially because it's PG-13, so it's not that vulgar, at least not to my little ears. But I
Right?
guess I'm thinking, what did you only read like the part in the script highlighted for you? Like, did you not read the rest of the script?
That too.
Like,
Um,
sir, do your research.
yeah. It just makes me think of, there have been brands or stores, like locations in the past that haven't wanted to be associated with certain movies because of violence or
Hmm.
some plot point where something bad happens to someone would end up being at that location or featuring that brand. And I could understand not wanting to be associated with things that are actually vulgar or violent or whatever. I just feel like the swearing in Happy Gilmore is, like you said, it's not even enough to give it an R rating.
Yeah.
I really like the story of how Dennis Dugan came to be our director. He had a meeting with Adam Sandler, and Dennis Dugan had decided he really was interested in directing this movie. Previously, he had been directing something. I could not find what, but he had really wanted to cast Adam Sandler. The studio wouldn't let him because they said he wasn't a big enough name. So obviously, at the point where we're getting Happy Gilmore made, Adam Sandler's a big star. Dennis Dugan met with him to talk about directing Happy Gilmore, and Adam Sandler, well, he remembered Dennis Dugan and said, "You're the guy who wanted to give me that part. I don't need to know anything else. I want to work with you."
I feel like
And
that's Adam Sandler's MO. Like, he just seems like a good guy, at least a good coworker. We've talked
mhm,
about it before. Like, it's good to be his friend. That you will
yes.
be in his movie, even if it's a small, silly part. He takes care of his own.
And that is actually the whole point of the article where I read this story,
Hmm.
talking about Adam Sandler, casting his friends. But I also felt like this went a little further than that, even. Like, he just remembered this random guy that tried to give him a job and it
Yeah,
didn't work out. Wasn't this director's fault that it didn't work out. But I like to hear about people just seemingly being genuine in this kind of
yeah,
a situation. Yeah.
yeah. Billy Madison had just come out like a year prior, so I think it was smart for Adam and Tim to like really get the ball rolling on Happy Gilmore because like strike while the fire is hot.
Right.
Because the success of Billy Madison, instead of waiting a couple years, I mean, they turned out two films back to back, and then I think
Hmm.
because of the success of both like combined, I think really pushed Sandler over the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought of them as coming out at the same time,
Hmm.
honestly. Like, in my, jumbled memories of, I don't know, going to see all these movies. I don't think I realized, though, how it ended up being almost every year we were getting a new Adam Sandler movie,
Yeah,
similar to how we discussed Jim Carrey.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you have that, you struggle to have that little bit of success, then you get it, and you just keep going. And you both Sandler and Carey repeated their, I wouldn't say repeat their roles, but there are a lot of similarities in what they were doing in each
Hmm.
role. And especially with a comedian actor, you want to do that, I guess, for a while until you get a chance to like breathe and do other things.
I don't have a lot of casting stories this time, but Shooter McGavin, who's our villain, I guess. Christopher McDonald, who plays him, initially turned down the role multiple times. He was concerned about being typecast as a villain. I am not familiar enough with his filmography, I guess. I saw that he had roles in Thelma and Louise and Quiz Show. Those were the titles that jumped out at me. Apparently, Bruce Campbell really wanted the role of Shooter McGavin.
I could see that though.
I could see it. Producers offered it to Kevin Costner. He turned it down. Ironically, some people say he turned it down to then go on to make Tin Cup, which is another golf movie.
I read that too. And timeline, it makes sense. I think Tin Cup came out 96 or 97, so he would have been on that set instead,
Hmm.
I guess. But I can't see him playing Shooter.
No, I don't think so. I could see him being, the straight laced opposite to Happy Gilmore for sure, but
Hmm.
not as snarky, I think.
Yeah, if anything, he could be like a different version of Chubbs
Yeah,
at
I could see
best.
that.
Yeah.
I couldn't really nail down why Christopher McDonald changed his mind about taking the role, but he did end up meeting with Adam Sandler, and that convinced him to sign on. Apparently, he did a lot of improv with his lines. I can't remember if it was him or if it was our director that said they didn't want villain 101, like just cookie cutter
Hmm.
saying some, snarky mean stuff. I like this though because I would have thought if anything Adam Sandler would be the one improvising lines, but I like that he got to play around with it too.
I also can't remember all the stuff he's been in, but and it might just be the hold this movie has on me and him as this character.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just picture him as villains in other movies, even though I'm probably making that up in my head.
Yeah, it I had one of those moments too where I'm like, well, have I actually seen him as a villain in other movies or do I just know him as the mean
Hmm.
guy from Happy Gilmore? To be fair though, he has the look for
Oh
a
yeah,
movie villain.
yeah, and you know, also to be fair, he took that character and he is still being that character. He has his own, the Shooter McGavin that is, has his own like Twitter account, and he'll like post golf videos or other like things that Shooter would probably post and talk about, and he's like his whole other persona, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if this actor does that, but someone does it, and it's verified, and it's funny.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a big fandom around Shooter, specifically both movie and golf world. It's weird.
Interesting. I also found out that the frontman for Devo composed the music.
That's pretty cool.
Did you know that the frontman for Devo was a film composer?
I did somewhere along the line I learned that, but I didn't know like to what films, and definitely didn't know he did for this one.
Yeah, he went on to have like a whole second career, and I noticed quite a few Adam Sandler movies on his resume.
Work with your buddies.
Yeah, which we will get into later.
The opening of this movie, I kind of forgot entirely. It's like a whole little voiceover, Adam Sandler's character, and it's like these home videos of his parents. Didn't
Hmm.
remember any of that. It's very
No.
brief, but it's there, and it gives you a quick history lesson of the Gilmore family, I suppose. I thought it
Yeah.
was weird that his dad looked like Borat to me. Just this big,
Yeah.
thick mustache, big nose, kind of goofy looking.
Hmm.
And apparently his mom left because his dad loved hockey so much. And I don't know, it's like a stretch, I guess. It's a comedy golf movie, so, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I just couldn't help think that his mom left, then his dad died, and then he moved with his grandma. And is Happy Gilmore a Disney prince?
yeah. Well, we had to get a way for him to move in with his grandma, I guess. Had
Okay.
to knock off those parents.
Yeah. He talks about his love for hockey, starting from his father, who taught him how to do a mean slap shot. And he's in the history books as the only guy to take off a skate and try to stab someone. So we already see kind of his short temper, right? As we get into present day Happy Gilmore, he's trying out again for a hockey team. He's like, they got to take me this year. So clearly he's been passed over before.
Right.
And shocker, they don't take him because the dude can't skate.
Yeah, I was really surprised by this. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, so I did not remember a lot of the movie. It's weird to me that he grew up loving hockey with a dad who loved hockey and he's still so bad at skating.
Right.
It seems like one of those skills that the more you do it, I assume it shouldn't be so hard anymore.
Right. I think it's just a good reason to put Adam Sandler on skates, and maybe he can't skate, but I feel like he does play hockey or did. I don't know.
I read an interview with him where he said he's actually very bad at both sports, golf and
Nice.
hockey. I thought
Excellent.
he played basketball.
He
Did I
does
get
play
that wrong?
basketball. Yeah.
Okay, okay. But yeah, like again, need a reason to get him to move in with grandma, need a reason to not have him on a hockey team. So,
Right. And when he doesn't get picked, he fights his coaches and like the entire team.
yes. Yeah. I like the scene after that where he gets back home and his girlfriend's leaving. They're talking over the intercom, and it reminded me of, him being torn in The Wedding Singer when Linda broke up with him. And he's like, going between like, oh my God, we can make it work, blah, 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 to like yelling at her. And
Yeah.
also couldn't help but thinking of the line from High Fidelity where John Cusack's yelling, Charlie, you bitch, let's work it out.
The angry sorrow.
Yeah, yeah. But I had a note that when I think of these early Adam Sandler movies, I think of like angry yelling Adam Sandler. And I was worried that that persona was really going to grate on me the way that early Jim Carrey does when it's just like too silly, it's too much. And that's why I've always liked The Wedding Singer, because I feel like Adam Sandler obviously has his moments of yelling and being ridiculous in that movie, but it's, to me, it's his most like straight-laced character from that time period, if that makes sense.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing more of a normal person. But yeah, as soon as this started, I was like, oh, is this going to be the whole movie? Is it going to be too much for me? But it was not. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I understand that he has his moments where he gets really mad on the golf course, but I feel like that because it was part of his characterization, I don't know, it worked for me. It wasn't like when I was watching Jim Carrey prance through Batman Forever and I was just like, "Oh, I can't handle this anymore."
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did set up his anger with this little beginning sequence, so
Yeah.
like it does kind of justify his short temper, right?
Yeah. There's a scene where, he finds out his grandma's being evicted. They're moving all her stuff out of her house. I love this opening though, where he runs in and the movers are moving the couch. And in order to get them to put things down, he just runs and jumps on the couch.
Yeah.
And the way that he tells his grandma, like, oh, by the way, my girlfriend's dead. She got hit by a car.
Yeah. Yeah, she asks about I don't even know what his girlfriend's name is, and he
Yeah, I
just
don't remember.
I think a couple times in the movie too he mentions his dead girlfriend who is not dead. We just never see her again.
I
But
thought it
it's a
was good.
very Happy Gilmore response to being broken up too.
Are you familiar with the Vandals, the band?
It sounds familiar.
They have a song called My Girlfriend's Dead, and it's all about all the ways he explains her absence.
Ah.
um, and that's all I could think of when that became like a running joke in the
Mm-hmm.
movie. But I did not realize until doing research for this that the IRS agent who, pops up in this scene and explains the back taxes is played by Robert Smigel from SNL, Saturday TV Funhouse.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
That guy.
Okay.
He was always credited with those. He also does Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog. Just kind of
Okay.
a
Okay.
everywhere kind of
Yeah,
comedy writer.
the name and the face did not click anything for me, but all the things you're saying now does.
See, I knew the name from literally because you see his name on Saturday TV
Everything.
Funhouse whenever those
Hmm.
are. But yeah, I knew he was associated with SNL. I guess I just never knew what he looked like.
I like this scene though when the IRS guy's in, and he's like, "You can't take my grandma's house," and he explains how she hasn't paid taxes in like forever. He's like, "Grandma, why didn't you pay taxes?" "I would have, but I didn't have any money."
I know.
It's so sad,
I
but like why wasn't anyone taking care of Grandma?
Yeah, why didn't she have money? If nothing else, she should have been getting like, like some social security or something. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did laugh so hard at that though, because again, haven't seen this in a while. I thought maybe she was just, you know, how they like to make old ladies into little crooks sometimes to be funny. And it's like, oh no, she just didn't have money. So they bring her to a nursing home and Ben Stiller is the nurse at the nursing home. I totally forgot about him being in this movie.
how did you forget about that?
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot I forgot about, which we'll mention, but Adam Sandler bribes him with $1.
Yeah, it's like that old lady over there. She's the most precious thing to me. Please take care of her. And he like pulls out a very wrinkled dollar bill.
This is one of the points where my son was still watching it with me, and I had to explain to him the concept of nursing homes.
Oh no.
It's really funny, like things that you realize your kid has no concept of or has never heard of before. And it can
Yeah.
just be anything that you didn't expect to be discussing. Like,
Nursing homes. Yeah.
I thought we'd be talking about like golf, but no, we're talking about nursing homes now.
It's fun too, like how much he cares about his grandma. Obviously, probably most of us do, and this was his parental figure also when he's I guess practicing for hockey or getting his body prepared for hockey, and he's at the batting cages just getting hit with fastballs
Yeah.
when which is also ridiculous. Kids, don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do love that when he comes out to talk to Chubbs, the kid goes in there, gets
Hmm.
pegged in the face, and like takes a fall, but he's in the background, so you almost don't even see it.
Yeah.
I love the little things they have with like the little picture hanging from his rearview mirror to show like this connection to grandma, and it's almost like
Hmm.
I wouldn't say is conscious, but kind of inspiration, let's say, for listening to Chubbs and wanting to get some money for her since he could drive a ball really far.
Hmm. Yes.
It's a lot of quick exposition to like kind of get Happy onto the green, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
So with that inspiration of playing golf, he goes back to Grandma's house, and the movers are there, and they're taking all the stuff out of the house still. And we have not mentioned that one of the movers is Mad TV fame Will Sasso,
Hmm.
and they have this little scene where they're like moving stuff, but Sandler wants to watch the hockey game on TV at the grandma's house that they're foreclosing. I don't. That part didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me. Like you could take everything but the TV. I don't know.
It was a weird way to get into this bribe or not bribe, this bet they make with him hitting the golf ball.
Right? Yeah, it was a very weird way to do it,
Hmm.
but yeah, they Will Sasso like can't hit it more than 4 feet, and that's what starts the bet. I love that he
Hmm.
hits it like 400 yards. He breaks a window of a house like very far away. It's a very nice looking house.
Yeah.
Presumably, the owner of the house comes out to investigate, and then he pegs him in the face, which is hilarious. He doesn't fall down though. I think that'd probably kill me. Like that's 400 yards of a golf ball. That's at least a concussion.
When one of the movers is like, you hit that guy, and Happy Gilmore's like, you shouldn't have been standing.
Yeah, exactly right. There, what does he stand there for?
Yeah.
And then double or nothing. Well, third time's a charm. And he hits the woman hanging out of the house, who then tumbles onto the ground.
Oh,
It's so stupid. Physical
it
comedy's so
is so
great.
stupid. Yeah. Again, hadn't remembered a lot of this, haven't seen it in a while. I feel like it's not often that I'm literally laughing out loud at a movie, and I was laughing so much at this. Like, I'll watch Clueless for the 100th time and I think it's funny, but I'm not necessarily laughing at it because I know everything that's coming.
Yeah.
But no, I did think that this was so stupid, but I also was laughing so hard.
Yes.
But going back to the batting cages, this is when he is approached by Chubbs, who is
Hmm.
played by Carl Weathers. I can't help thinking of Arrested Development every time I see him. Did you watch that show?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Love that show.
Um, So for people who are not familiar, he basically plays a version of himself that is really like down on his luck.
Yeah.
And I always think of when he's talking about getting like scraps of food together and he's like, "Yeah, baby, you got a stew."
Yeah. That character on the show is almost like if you mix former golf pro Chubbs and a little bit of real Carl Weathers together,
Hmm.
because he's like an acting coach for Tobias, right? If I'm
Yes, that's it. I
okay.
couldn't remember who wanted to be an actor. Yes.
Yeah. I always think of Predator and Rocky, but mostly Predator.
I haven't seen either of those.
Put him on the list.
Yep, put them on the list.
Season 20.
Yeah. I figured there would be a season at some point where it's like I make you watch what I consider to be blind spots and vice versa. So,
Hold on to your butts.
but again, laughed out loud when Chubbs presents his fake hand to Happy and he's so startled by it. Isn't that pretty immediate? What?
I'm just laughing at the scene. Sorry. Just remembering as you say it, it's pretty funny.
But isn't it pretty immediate that we get to the point where the hand is also like run over by the truck?
Oh, yeah. He like
Okay.
he hits his hand or something and it flies out and he's like, oh, it's okay, it's made of wood, it's really sturdy, and it just gets run over by a truck. It's so stupid. I was also just
Oh,
laughing to myself thinking how like bad the hand looked before it got destroyed, but more importantly how bad it looked because you could tell one arm of Carl's is longer because it's clearly he's just holding this fake hand in this baggy sweater and he's got like one arm like a half foot longer than the other. It's so stupid.
I know. It's just like the visual, like you said, of his one arm being so long. But also, I got to explain to my kid that sometimes people lose body parts.
I hope you laughed when you said it to him. Oh my
Oh, I'm
god.
sorry, it's so not funny. But basically, my son, my son thought he lost his real hand.
Oh my god.
I have to recover. No,
This is why
yeah.
he needs to sit down for the whole movie. If he's coming in and out, he has no idea what's going on.
Well, no, I don't think he's ever like I don't know, encountered someone with a fake limb.
Hmm.
So when Chubb's wooden, super sturdy wooden hand flew and got run over, my son was like, "Oh my God, his hand." And he thought it was like his real hand.
Oh my.
And so then I had to explain that like no, he had already lost his real hand previously. This is a fake hand and like shocker, that didn't make my son feel better. Because then he's like, people can just lose hands. And so, like, I feel like my son had this, like, crisis of, like, mortality or something from this movie because we talked about nursing homes and losing limbs. So,
This podcast is traumatizing your son.
I know. All the time. All the
uh,
time. And yeah, because you think, like, oh, come watch this, like, silly golf movie with me. No, this is what we're discussing instead.
did he stick around long enough to understand the how Chubbs lost his hand? Because that probably would terrify him.
You know what? I'm not sure. I think
Okay.
he was so creeped out that he was like, oh, okay, bye.
Meanwhile, you're over there laughing. It's great. It's okay, honey. Oh god.
Oh, Lord. Okay. No, I know he came back in for a lot of the, like the golf montages because then he started pretending to putt around the room.
Nice.
Yeah. So obviously this inspired him in some way.
See you out in the
Um,
course.
right. Yep. Okay.
I don't know how we get
Uh,
away from this now. Moving on.
well, did you want to mention the Predator reference?
Well, since we alluded to, if you haven't seen the movie, he lost his hand playing in golf in Florida, and he went to get his ball, and this alligator bit it off. And
Hmm.
the alligator apparently, he also pulls out a jar with the alligator's eye because he said, "I took a souvenir too." All right, crazy man, I get it, a limb for a limb, eye for an eye, so to speak. But he
Right.
carries it around in a jar in his pocket. That's more outrageous than his hand getting run over.
Forgot about that part.
He just has an eye in a jar in his pocket to show people.
Show people.
He's talking to Sandler for like 2 minutes, and he's like, "Oh, what happened to your hand? Lost it to a gator, but I got this." And it's like, okay, we know a lot about this man real quick.
I mean, well, it's only an hour and a half, so you gotta get it in.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did you want to mention the Predator reference? Is what I was getting.
Oh, the Predator the movie, not Predator the alligator. Yeah. Carl Weathers, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of always think of him in the movie Predator with Schwarzenegger, and in that movie, there's a scene where the Predator shoots off Carl Weathers' right arm. Or is it his right arm? Doesn't matter. But yeah, this is kind of like a little nod to that.
I like this little bit when we're introduced to both Shooter McGavin and I believe it's Virginia. Is that her name? Who becomes the love interest?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're at some tour, and Virginia introduces herself to Shooter as a PR rep for the golf league. I don't really know. But I like this exchange they have where he ends up totally dismissing her actual position and starts treating her like his personal assistant and telling her to get him a Pepsi. And all I can think of is like both myself and every other woman I know who has ever worked in an office setting, no matter what our actual position was, anytime there was a celebration, a birthday, we were always asked to cut the cake and pass it out or asked to run errands for people, and I just couldn't help think of that. But like you said too, it also sets Shooter up as a scummy person.
Oh yeah, right away. Yeah, she definitely looks very business professional, and also introduces herself as the like PR person of this tour, and
Hmm.
basically responsible for everybody and the tour to like look good and make money.
Yeah.
Um, nice power suit,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Yeah, can I get a Pepsi?" Oh, and I think he called it like honey or sweetheart, something very demeaning. They get a diet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I like these little glimpses instead of it just being like, I don't know. I feel like it could have been easy to have her talking with someone and being like, oh, yeah, that guy's a jerk or something. I like the little things we get to show that he's a shitty person aside from just being like Happy's main rival.
Yeah, because it makes it easy to dislike him even more, or give us a reason to root against him.
Yeah, exactly. This also sets up our issue throughout the whole movie of Happy being really bad at putting.
Mm-hmm.
His tap tap taparoo.
Tap taparoo.
I feel like that's such an Adam Sandler line. Like,
Yeah.
and I like how Shooter delivers that line. He's going to be on the tour. That's super.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy wins that round or whatever you want to call it, or gets enough points to continue on the tour to continue to make money for Grandma's house. And what I love about that whole little montage too is he doesn't care, Happy that is, toward until the end, what position he gets, as long as he makes enough to
Yeah.
stay on the tour, no matter
Hmm.
how small the checks are, because it's all going to save Grandma. He doesn't care.
Yes.
I mean, that's his only motivation at this time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because he does not actually care about golf.
No, he's a hockey player.
Of course.
Um, I am still surprised you can't, or you didn't remember that Stiller was in this movie and the whole situation with Grandma, because there's a line that I love. I will use often, and again, probably at work because it's work related. But when we find out that this nurse or whatever his position is at the nursing home, he runs like an underground sweatshop,
Yeah.
and he makes the grannies like put together quilts for the
Yeah,
black
I think
market,
they're
I
doing
guess.
cool.
And he gets off the phone with the potential buyers, like, all right, we're doing 4 more hours of quilt making. And then the one grandma's like, my fingers hurt. And he's like, oh, yeah? Your back's going to hurt because you just pulled yard duty. And it's just like, speaking of evil villains, it's like, and the mustache he has, the like Hulk
Oh,
Hogan
yeah.
esque handlebar, he looks like a
Hmm.
sleazebag.
For sure, yes. Yeah, part of my discussion with my son about nursing homes, I had to explain that they actually don't make the grannies do hard labor, but what do I know?
We go to the next leg event of the tour, and Sandler is partnered up with, I think his name's like Potter or Cotter or something. That doesn't matter. It's Kevin Nealon.
Hmm. Yeah.
He often plays these characters in Sandler movies where he's kind of call him spiritual, hippie, whatever term you want to use here. But he's sitting there and he's like, "All right, you can't be angry. You be one with the ball. You and the ball, like you got to be one." And he like does this like weird thing back and forth. And Sandler calls him a psycho. And then of course he misses his putt and flips out to where
Hmm.
Nealon's character calls him a psycho, and it's kind of a funny back and forth. We got to mention, go back a little bit. He gets assigned a caddy the first game. It's this
Hmm.
little like dweeby little guy that he
Yeah.
like physically abuses so much.
I know.
I don't want to laugh, but it's a movie. It's funny.
My son liked that part, yes. When
It's just very
he's
silly.
excited to win and he's like basically like shaking his caddy up and down and like
Yeah,
hitting him against the green. Yeah.
yeah.
And my son was like, I don't think that guy likes what he's doing to him. Like, no.
No, no. So then for the rest of this, he has to pick his own caddy, and so he goes out back to the parking lot where a homeless person was trying to wash his windshield, and he is now his caddy. And this is Alan Covert, which we'll see many, 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 many times in the rest of Sandler's films. We
Hmm.
saw him previously as, was he the limo driver, right? In Wedding Singer?
Sammy, yeah.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
buddy.
So this montage, we get a little bit of Happy winning enough, as I said, but still struggling, but winning enough to stay on tour, and it's getting televised, and Happy is becoming more popular because of his antics and his very non-golf everything that he does, I suppose.
Mhm.
At one point, he sinks a good putt or drive or whatever, and he's got his club between his legs. He's like prancing around, pretending it's a horse or bull. Kevin Nealon's character is like, yes, nice, ride the bull, do the bull dance, be one with the bull, and then it cuts to the nursing home, and the grannies are watching it, and his grandma specifically has an umbrella between her legs, and she's going around like smacking
Yeah, I
her
thought that
behind like
was
she's on
cute.
a horse. I thought that was pretty cute.
Hmm.
Another classic line, I think, is when he's yelling at the golf ball again, trying to take Kevin Nealon's advice. Be one with the ball. The ball's just trying to go somewhere. Where's the ball trying to go? It's trying to go home. Put the ball in his home. He misses the putt, and that classic line of "Are you too good for your home?"
Yeah.
Which I will also randomly say, not as much as some other Adam Sandler lines, but that one just burned in my brain.
Yeah.
Eventually, they go to the clubhouse, and Shooter, of course, is winning and buys Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore, whatever, a beer because he has to. He's the top dog around here,
Right,
and
of course.
he's like kind of poking the bear. And what I liked about the scene, it's like Happy is acknowledged that Shooter's trying to fuck with him, and he like ignores him
Hmm.
for most of it. The soft spot in Happy Gilmore, of course, is Grandma. So he says something about
Hmm.
like buying Grandma's house or something mean, and he just smashes his beer, the bottom of it, like he's gonna
Hmm.
like shank him with the bottle.
Yeah.
And that's when Virginia walks in. She's like, "Hey, what's going on here? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just looking for this other half of the bottle. Oh, there's some of it on the bar. There's some more on the floor."
Yeah.
It's
So
just so
good.
casual but so quick. It's
Hmm.
pretty funny.
It's the way Adam Sandler delivers some of these lines that make it so funny.
Yes, yeah, I think anybody else would fall flat.
Yeah.
Or in this film, Happy talks about like not keeping a steady job. He's done X and Y and Z. One of the jobs, he was on a construction site. They show him like shooting a dart gun at like pop cans or something. Like he's like a
A nail
gunslinger.
gun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a dart gun. Shooting a nail gun at
He
pop cans.
wishes it was a dart gun at this point.
Yeah. And for some reason, this boss was behind them, and he shoots him in the head.
Yep.
His boss, Mr. Larson, is like, I don't know, 12 feet tall,
Yeah.
because it's I forget the actor's name, but he played Jaws in the Bond films.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he
I
is
don't think I've
a
ever seen this actor in anything between Bond and Happy Gilmore or since.
yeah. I was gonna say talk about being like typecast, what was Christopher McDonald was worried about that. This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane to me that he still had the nail in his head and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting it removed next week."
Right. I mean,
Um,
must not be in too far.
I guess. I thought it was so funny though when Shooter is kind of getting heckled unbeknownst to Shooter. It's like, Mr. Lawson, who is enormous. The
Hmm.
way that Shooter turns around as he's speaking and just goes, "Oh my God." Like, that was such a great reaction.
Hmm.
And I did generally, this is when we start to have like the more rowdier crowds on the tour because, like you said, Happy's getting so popular and he's like this working class hero or whatever. I did think this was so fun to watch because I personally, my impression of golf is always that it's really stuffy and like for rich people. Obviously, as someone who is not familiar at all with golf, I appreciate that I'm probably wrong about this, but like don't yell at me if you really like golf. Okay. Okay. You're like maybe you're a little bit right. I did like I said, it's fun. Everything's getting a little looser. It's fun seeing the reactions of Shooter and some other officials. And then I love that line where the announcer is like, "What a large and economically diverse crowd."
Yes, that's pretty good. It's
Mhm.
a it's a nice way of saying where are all these poor people coming from. Shooter even gives a good line when he's like trying to concentrate, and I
Mhm.
think like Happy sinks a putt on the next hole, the one behind him, so he can still hear the crowd, and so it's like frustrating him. He's like, "Damn you people, go back to your shanties."
Yeah. Well, and yes, and I was going to make that point that like while it is a fun part of the movie, it's like I can also appreciate why you would need to concentrate.
Hmm.
Um but it also makes me feel like a little bit of a double standard, I guess, when Happy gets his own heckler. Like, I don't know, man, like you kind of started this. But
Yeah,
I like that Happy was originally like, "No, you're too quiet. Like make some noise, like it's a basketball game or something."
yeah. I guess though, he gets his own heckler, but he gets like a very specific heckler to
Yeah.
him versus like Shooter isn't really being heckled except for like that one time by Mr. Larson. But to be fair,
Mhm.
I think Shooter probably said something snarky and mean to him, and then he like bent his club. But the fans aren't really messing with Shooter so much; they're just being loud and obnoxious and distracting him from his game. This heckler that is a hired gun from Shooter, I feel like this guy looks familiar, but probably because I've seen this movie in my childhood. I feel like he plays the same kind of character if he's in anything else, a kind of like dweeby character type. He keeps going around following Sandler to all the holes, just yelling at him like, "You suck, you jackass!" And yeah, my brother-in-law will say that. We'll say that to each other because he's a big fan of this movie too.
Before we get into like the really iconic Bob Barker scene, I did want to mention the little part where Happy finally convinces Virginia to kind of go on a date with him. It's a really quick turnaround, I feel, because she goes from like, "I don't date golfers," which completely understand. This is like where she works.
Mm-hmm.
And also being in PR, that'd probably be a conflict of interest. But
Mm.
they go to a skating rink to like skate, shoot some pucks, whatever. And when they get in there, Endless Love starts playing.
Yeah.
And I think up until that point, Virginia had told him they were going out to hang out like just as friends.
Yes.
And I love that line where Happy's like, "What? Friends listen to Endless Love in the dark?" And for as much as I have forgotten about this movie, I still think of that line anytime I would like hear that song in a movie or whatever. Like, "Friends listen to Endless Love in the dark."
Yeah.
I love
Um,
it.
I have the unfortunate pleasure of listening to Muzak sometimes at work, and this song will come
Yes.
on from time to time. And me and my coworker are just like, I can only think of one thing when I hear this, and it's a Zamboni.
I know, I know. And the employee like lip syncing to
Oh,
it
he's going
and
for it.
looking, yeah. And then especially at the end where he just looks like, I don't know, he's remembering some long lost love of his life.
Yeah.
You want to get into Bob Barker?
Bob Barker. What a legend.
Yep.
Spay and neuter your pets. Even if you haven't seen this movie, you probably know that there's a scene where Bob Barker and Adam Sandler get into a fist fight on this leg of the tour, this game, whatever. I don't
It's
know
like
the
a
terms.
celebrity
Yeah, they're paired up and they're
tour.
a
Okay.
team. And they get Bob. And at first, Happy Gilmore's like, oh no, I got Bob Barker because he's an older guy. But then
Yeah.
first hit, Bob does great. He's like, oh, all right, cool. And it's Happy who's dragging the team down again, mostly because of this heckler.
Right.
And they end up boiling over and they fight each other.
Hmm.
I read, and I didn't get all the fact checks. I don't know how true this is, but I read that they originally were trying to get Ed McMahon in this role, and he didn't want to do it. I think probably the language thing also and the violence. But I
It's
read that
just so
originally,
vulgar.
right,
All these
right,
older men don't want to do it.
right, stuffy golf movie. But also read an original script that Happy wins the fight, and Ed McMahon didn't want to lose the fight for some reason. I don't know. Like, you're known for a fighter? I don't think so, sir.
Right.
Again, the rabbit hole I went down, I couldn't verify any of it, so I don't know, but it's still fun to mention.
Hmm.
They get Bob, and they find out that he lived next to Chuck Norris, or
Yeah,
like in
I
his
heard that
neighborhood.
Chuck Norris was his neighbor.
Yeah, and had taught him karate. So they're like, you know what? We're gonna have Bob beat Happy's ass. And
Yep.
it works. It's funny. It's classic.
Hmm.
You get another classic line of the price is wrong, bitch. And
Yep. I did find that confirmed Nielsen ratings for The Price is Right did increase after the release of Happy Gilmore. So it's
mm-hmm.
greatly attributed to this little part that Bob Barker has. And specifically, viewership increased among the younger demographics for The Price is Right.
I read that too. I was like, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's just a nice
Yeah.
little side effect.
Yeah, I think one of the anniversary shows they showed the scene and they recreated it, but like differently for The Price is Right. Adam Sandler showed up for an episode, like just weird stuff like that. Because of course, once you work with Adam Sandler, you work with him for life.
Yeah, it's true, apparently.
Hey, he's a good guy.
There is a really funny joke that Happy gets a jab in at Shooter.
Oh yeah, when he's Cheater's just insulting how Happy and his fans are pieces of shit and they're no good, and he eats pieces of shit like them for breakfast. And then, of course, in the flat Adam Sandler quickness, though, you eat pieces of shit for breakfast? And she's just like, no, and he just like storms off.
Yeah,
It's
that
such
was
a
great.
dumb. I love it though. It's so stupid.
Yeah, like totally childish comeback, but also you put him in his place, I guess.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's what you expect from Sandler's characters at this point, from SNL and Billy Madison. He's like a giant man boy, but it fits. It fits the role. It fits the character. But also, like, people like Shooter do say dumb things like that.
I like this bit where Chubbs takes Happy to a putt-putt course because like
Mm-hmm.
he truly is so bad at putting.
Mm-hmm.
My son felt the clown uh hole. I don't know how you want to say it, but that was very unfair because even when you got the ball into the clown would just spit it out. So he's like, I
Yes.
understand why he's so mad at the clown.
Yes. Um, as far as I read, the clown is voiced by Adam Sandler, also,
Huh.
which is just like a manic chuckle. But
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, I read that before the rewatch, so I was like listening for it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's. I mean, it sounds like him. It could be someone just making a generic clown laugh, but hey, we'll say it's Adam Sandler.
Sure. That's fine.
One of the holes in the putt putt course, there's a bunch of penguins everywhere, and my brain made me like maybe I don't know if it's a forced connection or not, but my brain forced a connection between Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, because Billy Madison, he often like daydreamed and had this like penguin walking around his mansion with like a umbrella drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a running gag in that movie, and then like there's penguins in this one, like a little slight gag.
I haven't
Could
seen that one in a while either. Jeez. Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that. I wouldn't have made that connection.
we also get Chubbs gives him a gift? It's a putter. It was his actually originally Chubb's putter, but he modified it, and then now it looks like a hockey stick.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. But then Happy, you know, surprises Chubbs with his own gift, which is the head of the alligator that took Chubbs's hand.
Yes.
And Chubbs is so startled that he like falls out the window of Happy's apartment and dies,
Yeah.
which I completely forgot about. And I was like, oh no, poor Chubbs.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that part.
I did like though at his little memorial they have set up at the tournament, like they have his like completely broken, busted fake hand on the top. Like that's really what he would want to be remembered by, but
Right.
whatever. Could
I
have put
guess
like a golf club up there or something. Come on.
a picture maybe of his face. I guess we forgot to mention that in one of the montages, Happy's ball goes in the water and the alligator has it in his mouth. And Happy realizes it's the same gator that took Chubbs' hand because he almost took
Mhm.
Happy's hand and then also was missing an eye. So Happy beats up the alligator to get his ball back. So I guess we're assuming that in that fight scene with the gator, he killed him. Uh,
And took his head.
it took his head and then scared Chubbs to death. He just gets scared and backs up to an open window and flips out of it. It's so ridiculous.
No.
It's also like you wrote, I forgot he died, and I forgot how much he's not in this movie.
That too, yeah, because you think of him as being, obviously this wise mentor, and then,
Mm-hmm.
well, because Happy doesn't feel like he needs his help for so long. And then when his grandma's house is really on the line because he makes that bet with Shooter that he's going to beat him.
Yeah,
And, if Happy loses, Shooter gets grandma's house. He's like, oh shit, I really got to learn how to putt now. Got to go call Chubbs back. So,
yeah. Well, in Happy's defense, when he played that first game, Chubbs was on his sideline and encouraging him. He's like, "Well, you got to work on the short game. In 6 months' time, I could really give you can be an all-star." He's like, "I don't have 6 months. I got to get money
yeah.
now." So I get it. He had a timeline, 90 days or whatever, for the foreclosure. You mentioned this broken ass hand on the at the funeral. Ever since it got run over, every scene it's like more or less mangled, but still kind of really mangled. Like
Yeah.
when they they have a quick aside to like one of Happy's antics or victories. I can't remember which one, but it's on TV and Chubbs is watching it, so we just get a cut of Chubbs. He's like gluing it back together, but it's all fucked up looking still. Like just buy a new hand. So that when he takes
Well,
him
it's
to
wood.
putt,
It's really sturdy.
right, when he meets back up with Happy and you teach him how to putt and he gives him the putter, Happy shakes his hand and it just crumples his hands because it's still like drying glue.
Yeah. Poor Chubbs, though. I just feel like he deserved better. A more
Mm-hmm.
dignified end, maybe.
But that's what makes it
Um,
funny.
I know. I did like though, this I guess this next tournament after Chubbs dies is the big one. Is
Mm-hmm.
that correct? Okay. I did like though when he starts, facing off against Shooter and they're neck and neck and he says, "Somebody learned how to putt." Uh-oh. Because that
Mm-hmm.
was like pretty much his only weakness.
Yeah, the shooter talks about that because he obviously can't beat him in the drive game, so he's going to
Hmm.
beat him in the short game, and then same sequence, I guess. They drive it again, and then they have to like chip or putt, and Sandler goes like, "Uh-oh, somebody's closer," and
Yeah.
just like starts to really dig into Shooter.
Hmm.
I did like what kind of the catalyst of all this was, like you said, the house. Shooter buys it, and they make that bet so he can get it back. And Shooter is playing the villain here, and he's like, "Well, when I win, I'm gonna have your grandma's house, and I'm gonna demolish this and that." We also forgot to mention the whole reason, or one of the big reasons Happy wants the house back is his grandfather built it with his bare hands,
Yes.
so it's sentimental. So when
Right.
he's like talking about destroying this part of the house, or whatever, it's like digging at Happy. But then when he found out Chubbs died, Shooter's like, "I'm gonna win and finally get my gold jacket, and I'm gonna dedicate it to Chubbs." Like, no, he was my mentor. I'm gonna dedicate it to Chubbs. No, I called it first.
Yeah. So stupid.
These grown men being like children. I love it.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. I can't help thinking like this part though where Shooter calls in, the heckler. It turns out he was working with Shooter to throw Happy off. He calls him in saying he needs him again, and he ends up driving on the course and hitting Happy with his car.
Yeah.
I just can't help feeling like someone would have stopped him like way further back.
Yes.
Because you
Yes.
you see him coming, it's pretty obvious,
I don't even know how he got through the crowd of people, but
right? Yes, and in this whole movie, that is the part that I feel like is a bit too over the top.
no, I agree though, because it's kind of weird that he just is driving was it like a Volkswagen Beetle
Yeah,
on the green. It's just I don't know, like how did he get through all the security and all the whatever.
yeah, I got you.
All that does is set up that he hits Happy.
Hmm.
They tell him he can't compete. He's like, no, I'm good. It's just golf. But his arm hurts a little bit, so his drives for a
Yeah, it
couple of
messes up
holes.
his shoulder, I feel.
Yeah, his drives for a couple of holes aren't as you know robust. But
Yeah.
so it brings they were neck and neck, so it brings him down a little bit. So he has to play catch up again. So now he has to rely on the short game. So all the Chubb teachings.
Yep.
There's a scene or a quick little cutaway where Shooter's ball goes in the woods and he's like practicing the approach to the ball like Happy Gilmore, and he's like missing every time. He's just getting frustrated because
Hmm.
he's getting desperate. He wants to win his jacket, but he also doesn't want to lose to Happy.
Yeah. I also couldn't help laughing at the part where Happy's getting checked out by a doctor that, works for the league. And he's like, dude, you're going to have to go like rest up. And Happy's like, no, I got to finish playing. And he's like, okay, well, what would I know? I'm just a doctor. And he just like gets really frustrated and walks away. And I can't help feeling this is probably how a lot of doctors feel like
Yeah,
recently.
or yeah, recently, yeah.
Hmm.
We see Mr. Larson again, and the nail is now gone, by the way, and he's still kind of threatening Shooter because at one point Shooter has to play the ball off of his giant Frankenstein foot.
As he puts it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Larson has this shirt on that's ridiculous, but I don't think I've ever noticed it before. And it's hard to read because they pan up from his foot, and you reveal that
Yeah.
Mr. Larson's back. His shirt
Yeah.
says "Guns don't kill people, I kill people." And there's a scene later where he's chasing Shooter because Shooter loses, spoiler, but
Yeah.
he ends up like throwing a tantrum and stealing Happy's jacket because it's the only thing he really wants, I guess. And the crowd chases Shooter, and somehow in the league of the pack is Mr. Larson. He has a cane. He's like slow mo running because I don't think he can run in real life. And you just hear him getting beat up off camera.
Oh, yeah, I did like again, I, haven't seen this in a while. I know Happy wins. I did not remember the TV tower falling and how Happy had to basically take his last shot the way he did at the putt-putt course.
Mm-hmm.
And my son was in the room for this bit and he's like, "Oh wow, it's just like when he did the putt-putt with the earthquake thing and the buildings were falling." And I was like, "Yes, you have discovered callbacks."
Callbacks and
Um,
foreshadowing.
yes, yes. But, a nice little accident for him to have. But obviously gets his hole in one through this crazy contraption and wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I guess he could have put around it and tied, and then he would go to sudden death. But he
Yeah.
decides to channel the Chubb and end it right
Channel
there.
the chub. Very convenient how that one pipe was like lined up right with the hole.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's all because the crazy maniac in the car hit it, and it fell a certain way, and everything was perfect. The end. He wins. He gets a
Yeah.
jacket. He gets the girl. He gets the house for grandma.
I forgot about the very end where he's like waving to Chubbs and the alligator up in the sky. And the
And Abraham
alligator's like
Lincoln
little bit and Abraham Lincoln.
for some reason.
Why not?
Yeah, they were friends in
I
heaven.
Yeah, sure. I mean, isn't that one of the benefits? You could like finally meet all these historical figures that are supposedly up there, so
Well, yeah, that too. I just meant like Chubbs and the Gator are now friends.
oh, I thought you meant he was was friends with Abraham Lincoln.
Who wouldn't be? Well, don't answer that. Um, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So I did want to point out that it was so funny to me seeing Julie Bowen here because obviously I think a lot of us are familiar with her now being in Modern Family, and I'm still, working my way through that on a rewatch because I think I mentioned when we saw Ed O'Neill in Wayne's World that it was funny
Hmm.
seeing younger him. It was so weird to me though because I feel like she almost looks younger in Modern Family and looks older in Happy Gilmore, and I really think it's the haircut and the stuffy suits
Yeah, I thought the exact
or
same thing.
pantsuits, I guess.
Yeah. I actually didn't even make the connection at first. And I saw the name and I'm like, that doesn't look like her. I was
Yeah.
like, that can't be the same woman. I was like, well, I
Mhm.
guess the age would make sense. And then I pulled up a photo of them side by side. I was like, it's weird. It's the hair, it's these square shoulder power suit, pantsuit situations. And she doesn't look
Mhm.
old in this movie. She's what, 25, 26.
Yeah. It's not
But
that she looks old, I think it's the styling. Like her
yeah,
face doesn't look old.
no, 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 not at all. But altogether, like she just looks. I mean, maybe that was the kind of the idea with the costuming. She wanted to look professional, refined, stuffy. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I think fashion was just really bad at that time, especially for working women.
Maybe I'm just so familiar seeing her in Modern Family that I totally forgot that was her, or didn't
Mhm.
know it was her until this watch of this movie for the pod. I'm like,
I just thought this was a fun note. When Roger Ebert reviewed the film, he stated all the product placement that was in it. And I hadn't thought about this because obviously Happy does a Subway commercial. That's the only thing that stood out to me, really. But here's his quote. He probably missed a few, but counted Diet Pepsi, Pepsi, Pepsi Max, Subway, Budweiser in bottles, cans, and Bud dispensing helmets, Michelob, Visa cards, Bell Atlantic, AT&T, Sizzler, Red Lobster, Wilson, Golf Digest, the ESPN Sports Network, and Top Flight golf balls.
yes. I mean, like you said, like the Subway commercial was very obvious, and they
Hmm.
do that because he's like losing a lot or not winning as high on the scale. I don't know how that works.
Oh no,
He's
he
not
gets
making
like a
an.
1 month ban because he got in a
Oh,
fight. Oh, because of the Bob
that's
Barker
right.
fight, right?
That's right. They kick him off. He's
Yeah.
suspended for a
Hmm.
month. Yes, that's right.
Hmm.
And so Virginia has the idea to like, okay, well, be sponsored, and he does a Subway commercial, which is
Hmm.
really cheesy. And then the rest of the movie, he's got like a Subway shirt on under his like open flannel.
Yeah, yeah.
I also kind of found this quote, and I was like, okay, yeah. And I saw it before I watched the movie, and I did notice some were very obvious, some not so much. But to be fair, the few times I've seen golf on TV,
Hmm.
it looks authentic. Like there's advertisements everywhere on the field.
Right, yes.
So, I mean, if that's how two college friends can get money for a film, sure, but it
Yeah.
also looks very authentic to the sport they're playing as well. Like if this was a
Hmm.
NASCAR movie and
Yeah,
they covered their suits and cars with advertisements, we
yeah,
wouldn't think twice of it either.
exactly. You want to get into our legacy a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the box office, Happy Gilmore was a commercial success. It was ranking number 2 in the U.S. box office on its debut weekend with 8.5 million in revenue, and that was right behind John Travolta's and Christian Slater's Broken Arrow. It's like a big action film of the summer. Or
Okay.
no, I guess this would have been February. Hmm.
Yeah, it's still strange that's a
Yeah,
February release. I saw your note in here about Broken Arrow, and I was like, I have no idea what that is. But now that you mentioned the two actors, I think I kind of remember at least the advertising for it.
yeah. So obviously, box office success. As we mentioned earlier, this is Sandler's like second outing at a feature.
Hmm.
So good on him.
Hmm.
But it also kind of, years later developed into kind of a cult following, specifically for the golf community. Golf.com, Consequence of Sound, and Golf Digest praising the film, mostly praising, like I mentioned earlier, Shooter McGavin, like has this like presence in this golf community for whatever reason. I mean, he's a fun character, but
Hmm.
you mentioned earlier that this pro took, 5 rewrites of a script to give them the thumbs up.
Hmm.
And I feel like just the movie itself, I don't think it's too far off from the game, from what I know. But like, there's obviously a lot of parts of it that are ridiculous. So
Hmm.
maybe these golf websites and magazines, maybe they like the villain Shooter McGavin because of how much he wanted to stick to the trueness of the game. I don't know. It's my
Hmm.
personal theory. Golf Digest also had a best villain bracket in which Shooter won, and this is not just against film villains. There's also TV and real life sports villains like Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner.
Wow.
So a fake villain in a best villain bracket won against also real life people that are not favorable in the sports community.
Wow. That's,
And I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult.
I don't know,
I don't know.
man.
The legend of Shooter lives on.
And it's so funny, like hearing all this, knowing that the actor didn't even want to do it at first.
Right. That's the crazy part. So also with this movie, we talked about kind of Happy Gilmore's long drive, and he has a crazy like running approach to the ball.
Hmm.
Long drive champion and professional golfer Jamie Solowski was also, ironically enough, a former hockey player and could hit golf balls over 400 yards. He has been called, quote, the real life version of Happy Gilmore. Again, don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. It depends on how you want to take that.
Does he
Um,
have an economically diverse fan base?
I don't know that much about him. I just know
Yeah.
that he also played hockey and can hit the ball very far.
Fair enough.
And then the Happy Gilmore swing is often attempted and impersonated. The TV series Sports Science featured the Happy Gilmore swing, and it was demonstrating how it can indeed generate additional distance, but at the cost of accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yes, I
assuming
can
there's a
see
lot
all of
of.
this.
Yeah, I would assume you approach the ball that way, you're going to have a lot of hooks and slices for sure.
Yeah.
Happy was able to hit it straight and even got a hole in one. So, take
Hmm.
that, sports science.
Yeah. We had already mentioned, the kind of cultural impact this scene with Bob Barker had. They won Best Fight at the MTV Movie Awards in 1996. It was actually the first time they ever did the Best Fight Award.
I feel like they might have created it for this scene.
I could see that too, honestly. We've mentioned throughout this episode that Adam Sandler really likes to work with his friends, reward his friends. He has ended up working with his co writer, Tim Herlihy, a lot after this. Tim either wrote or co wrote The Waterboy, Big Daddy, Mr. Deeds, Little Nicky, Grown Ups 2, Pixels, The Ridiculous Six, and Hubie Halloween, which are all Adam Sandler movies.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Sandler has also continued to work with Dennis Dugan, his, I don't know, favorite director who saw the glimmer of potential in him way
Yeah.
back when. So Dennis has directed Big Daddy, Jack and Jill, Grown Ups, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, and Just Go With It. And you've mentioned throughout the episode, like different actors have been in various Adam Sandler films with him.
Mm-hmm. In September of 2022, Adam Sandler stated that he hoped to eventually make a sequel to Happy Gilmore, saying that he created ideas for what a follow-up film would be, while stating the characters would be involved in like a senior golf tour, which is makes me feel old.
Oh, like a senior citizens golf tour.
They have a separate tour for golfers that are of a certain age. Maybe not quite senior citizens, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Ugh, my back hurts thinking about this. So in March of 2024, Christopher Shooter McGavin McDonald stated in an interview that he had been shown a first draft of the script of the sequel by Adam Sandler, and that was also kind of like reviving speculation of a sequel being made. And then on May 15th, 2024, Netflix confirmed the sequel was in development, and it was scheduled to be released on Netflix on July 25th, 2025. And it's going to be dedicated to Morris, the alligator, who passed away May 11th of 2025.
That's really sweet. Although I feel like quite a few actors who were in the original have since passed away, including Carl Weathers, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but I
So, like,
guess yeah, Morris is the most recent of deaths.
sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Also, it's silly to do it, so it kind of makes sense. I don't know. It's a comedy.
Fair enough. I'm actually really excited to see what they do with the sequel now that we've rewatched this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just added one last Adam Sandler quote because everything I read in doing research for this episode was about him, like we said, rewarding his friends, rewarding, good people that he has worked with. I was reading an interview with him about just having this long career that's done really well. He's been very successful. I think at one point he was the highest paid actor behind like Leonardo DiCaprio and one other like big name, more dramatic actor. And they asked him about how he feels about his overall career, and sometimes the critics really don't like him. And he said, I got into it to make people laugh and have fun with my friends. And I feel like he has definitely succeeded.
Absolutely.
So, did the movie hold up for you?
Oh yeah, I feel like it held up more during this discussion than watching it for some reason. I think maybe because I've seen it so much, and I was taking notes and looking up facts and whatnot. And there's scenes that definitely made me laugh out loud, no matter
Hmm.
how many screens I was reviewing stuff on and typing on. But like we mentioned, when he first learns that he can do the drive and he hits the house and the people within it. Any scene with Carl Weathers' messed up hand,
Yeah.
how it just gets worse and worse as the movie goes on. And a lot of the Shooter Happy, the like quips to each other, whether
Oh,
they
yeah.
fall flat intentionally or they get on each other's skin, like gave me a minimum a little chuckle because just depending on the scene and the line given. But I thought it was always funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I had so much more fun watching this than I expected to. I found it still so funny. Everyone's timing is so great with their lines. They're like really funny sight gags that, like I said, I didn't remember. I think coming into it, I was expecting to feel like this was maybe kind of immature or juvenile, and like sure, maybe it is, but
Mm-hmm.
it was still so funny and so much more clever than I remembered.
Yeah, I would agree. Knowing Sandler's movies, yeah, there's a part of it that's juvenile, but that's kind of built into the characters too, and then he
Yeah.
slowly becomes less juvenile as the movies go on. And I think that's like the appeal of him,
Mhm.
even in like movies like Big Daddy. Like you have this kid that's thrust upon this man child, and now they
Mhm.
both are kind of learning how to grow together.
Mhm.
There's some sight gags I forgot to mention. The caddy that he hires, the homeless man, there's a couple of scenes where they're on the green and Kevin Nealon or some other character, you remove the ball as courtesy and you mark it with something. One instance, it was a quarter, and the caddy pockets it, and then another, it's like a cracker of some sort. And the caddy
Yeah.
picks it up and like looks around and just kind of hurries up and eats it. These little golf things that they kind of poke fun at.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, this was like a pleasant surprise watching this
Mm-hmm.
back. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Happy Gilmore as well as your own favorite summer movies. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our host, Rachel Campbell, and myself, Joe Siomick, with additional help and support from Peter Telep of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Faraci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Tarek. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more trips into our movie watching past on Back Through the Lens.
There's no way to know.
If only we had a podcast to listen to.
only we had a like record we could go back and look at.
If only we took better records.